Welcome back to the Automation Podcast, the world's number one industrial automation product and technology show, thanks to you, our audience of highly skilled automation professionals. Thank you for being a member of our audience, and thank you for tuning back in this week. Now, for those of you who may be new to the show, my name is Shawn Tierney of Insights in Automation, and each week I invite a new vendor to come on the show to tell us about their products and technologies. And during their presentation, I play the role of the audience, asking questions I think you may have and questions I have as well. With that said, given that a quarter of our audience listens to the show, doesn't watch it, but actually just listens to it, I'll try to call out any details and the visuals that I think you listen only folks may want to know about. And with that said, I want to welcome to the show, for his first time on the show, Ivan from Siemens. Thank you for coming on. I am excited to learn about the new Cinematics G220. We've been covering the updates as they've been pouring out on the website on our morning show. And but before we jump into your presentation, would you mind just taking a moment, tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Shawn. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm Ivan Spronk. I'm a product manager for the Siemens portfolio of variable frequency drives. I've been in the industrial automation industry for over 20 years in roles with manufacturers and roles in distribution. And I'm here today following shows you've done with some of my counterparts at Siemens, Shawn. You've had shows with John Vitellum, who's been here talking about the Siemens TIA portal, our totally integrated automation digital tool that integrates all things around industrial automation. Reason I mention that because I'm going to be referring to the TIA portal through my presentation here. You also did a show with Jackie Stokes that provided an overview of tools available to get Siemens VFDs and servo drives connected on Ethernet IP networks without touching PLC code. So that those tools continue here. And you did a show with a few of my counterparts that provided an overview of the Siemens variable frequency drive and servo drive product line. So I'd like to just start, Shawn, with providing a recap of that show, and something I want to convey about that. That show emphasized the commonality of digital selection tools and common parameters and configuration and common hardware that runs through our Synamics product line. Of course, these are attributes that just help engineers and end users move more easily between different product families as an application maybe dictates using a lower end product or a higher performance product. So that show also highlighted the Siemens technical support that's available without fees or license. Our Siemens research and development teams highlighted our multiple Siemens manufacturing centers and how these teams use our own digital tools to modernize and digitize our own factories to maximize quality, efficiency, and response time, things that businesses are trying to do for themselves. So the good news is that all those points emphasized on the show are still key elements of the Siemens portfolio and of what I'd like to discuss on this show, which is our next generation VFD. Our next generation drive builds on those key elements and offers a new generation of hardware and software really built around some pillars of digitization, efficiency, security, and an eye toward the future. And Shawn, what I'd like the audience to come away with from this show is how these pillars that I just mentioned of digitization, efficiency, security, and product lines that are designed and constructed to be future-proof can help them in their work and their digital journey. So before I get started, Shawn, I did want to congratulate you on recently passing, that 10-year mark with your show.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man, in this industry where there's always new things coming out, shifts in global environments, always cost pressures, and that's a real accomplishment to keep a show relevant for 10 years, Shawn. So congratulations on hitting that mark.
Well, I want to thank you and I want to thank the audience. Of course, if I don't have anybody listening, there's no reason to do the show. So thank you. Sincere thanks to the audience for tuning back in every week. And thanks to vendors like you And I just thank you guys for keep coming out with new products because if we didn't have anything new to talk about, I'd kind of be up the. And of course, we just broke 230 episodes of my morning show, and so on that show, I really need vendors to produce new products and that news because I need something new to talk about every day. So in any case, thank you, Ivan. I really appreciate that, and I hope to grow it in the future. We never want to stand still. We want to do new and better things. So thank you again.
Sure. Yeah, that's just like us. Nothing stands still. So, yeah. So this show here to introduce the new variable frequency drive offer, the Dynamics G220. It's part of that next generation drive. A few months ago, my counterpart Craig Nelson was on your show here and introduced the next generation servo drive. That was the Siemens S200 and S210 product lines.
Yeah.
So yeah, now I'll be here talking about the variable frequency drive. So that's what I'm getting ready to do here, Shawn.
Thank you.
All right. Well, for those in the audience that are less familiar with the Siemens drive portfolio, I'm just going to start at kind of a 30,000 foot level and work our way down to the G220. I work in the motion control business segment for Siemens. The motion control segment here at Siemens includes the Dynamics servo drive, servo motor, and the variable frequency drive product lines, as well as a new portfolio of digital drivetrain solutions that work with our servo and VFD products. And these tie into other Siemens products that collect data and offer that data up to a dedicated or cloud environment where that data can be viewed and analyzed and acted on. Shawn, I'm going to say if you think the audience would be interested in our digital drivetrain solutions, that could be another topic to dive into on this show at a later date.
Yeah.
I think there would be some interest in that. But yeah, these servo drives and motors and variable frequency drives and our digital drivetrain solutions are all of course, a much larger Siemens portfolio. Again, for those that are less familiar with Siemens, we have also in the motion control, there's CNC machine tool controllers, and then there's an offering of HMIs, PLCs, network switches, remote I/O, industrial software, other products like circuit breakers, power supplies, things that you find in the control panel around servo drives and VFDs. And then there's the portfolio of Siemens process control products for measuring flow and pressure and temperature and identification systems, weighing systems. Shawn, all that trying to get across here is that Siemens has a wide and deep offer of industrial automation solutions for customers' machines and factories. And really the key that ties all these things together, what's becoming more and more important, is the software tools and methods to efficiently tie all this automation together with a digital thread so that customers can maximize their equipment and operations. This digital thread with tools like our TIA portal that I've mentioned and the digital drivetrain solutions they're a mix of hardware and software, and they're really one of the key differentiators for Siemens versus offers from others out there with servo and VFD lines. Again, all to really enable our customers to digitally transform and improve their business. So that was kind of the high level. How about if we kind of step down now to our Dynamics drive portfolio? And this is, I think, the slide you were asking for earlier there, Shawn. It's actually got some of the portfolio product numbers on it, kind of segmented by what we call just standard performance. There you asked about the Dynamics V20, Dynamics G120 products, kind of more general purpose products. You look kind of towards the middle of the slide, there's some notations about a distributed frequency drive. That's the Dynamics G115D and G120D. Those products, their drives really in a ruggedized enclosure with all of the logistic development that's been done. A lot of those products, like you see, they're intended to be mounted out like on a conveyor or maybe on an airport baggage handling system. Lots of improvements coming in that realm as well. So that's where those products are targeted at. In the center of the slide, you see something called industry-specific drives, and I'll call out specifically the Synamics G120X. That's got some pump and fan functionality built into it, specifically for pump fan compressor market. And now if you look over towards the right side, you see high performance, and you also see, getting to the Synamics G220 here, Shawn. That's where that product is positioned. And also along with some of the product that Craig talked about earlier, the Synamics S120, those are positioned as high performance products. And high performance, we mean applications that may need a higher motor performance, like in a hoisting application, or maybe more precise motor control for positioning, or high performance with regards to safety functionality or network connectivity or network functionality or security or maybe redundancy. So Shawn, that's what I mean by high performance there. Any questions about that?
Yeah, I think the one thing that stands out at me, well, a couple things actually. So first of all, Synamics can be VFDs or servo drives. So in a lot of
That's
other companies, they kind of give them each their own brand name. But here, and every company's different, here it can be either. So just because you're hearing Synamics doesn't mean VFD or servo. It could be either type of drive. The other thing I would throw out there too is just for the audio audience, the on machine or machine mount VFDs. These are very rectangular, like you would expect in a horizontal, length. They're
Yep.
rectangular but horizontally long, like you would expect something that would mount possibly on a railing or on a conveyor or on the side of a machine next to some ducting. So it has that classic wide look. Where most VFDs, like we're looking at the G120 and we're looking at the G220, they're taller typically to save you the panel space widthwise, right? So just want to kind of throw out those observations, and let me pitch it back to you.
Yeah, that's a good observation. Thanks for that, Shawn. Also, I'm using the term VFD or variable frequency drive to refer essentially to a product that controls an AC motor by,
Hmm.
a device that varies the frequency of the motor power, right? So there's a myriad of names and acronyms for
Yeah.
variable frequency drives. The Europeans lean toward calling them frequency converters or sometimes just converters.
Hmm.
Others use adjustable speed drives or variable speed drives.
Yes. Yep.
Any acronym, Shawn, that's your favorite or that your audience would be more familiar with?
Yeah, you bring up a good point because I'm constantly, whenever, because you see this a lot, and I grew up with the VFDs based on my background, but the
Okay.
VSDs, I mean, I can't. It's kind of a simpler term, more accurate term in some ways. So
Yeah.
I'd love to know what you guys in the audience think. What do you think's the better name to call these? My history has always been a variable frequency drive. Back in the day it was PWM, right? So now there's all kinds of great stuff they do that's even fancier. But I would love to know what the audience thinks. But yeah, I do see a lot of Europeans calling them converters. That's a good
Hmm.
point, Ivan.
Sure. All right. Well, we'll see what your audience, what kind of results you get there, Shawn. I'd be interested in that as well. So, all right, switch to a application slide here, and really these are pretty common applications where VFDs and servo drives are used. Again, yeah, good point about Siemens putting those under the same family name because yeah, there are a lot of applications where okay, I need tight motor control on this little packaging operation, maybe in the center of my machine, but hey, out from that, it's just conveyor in feed or
Hmm.
conveyor out feed.
Yeah.
But I all want them working on the same network and working in concert. So I mean, I think that's part of the family blend there. On the slide, you can see typical applications: pumping, ventilating, compressing. Those are the more energy savings ones. And then you see things moving like on a conveyor, processing, maybe a winding application, positioning, maybe you could add hoisting to that. And then you see machining. Okay. And that maybe even you could do that maybe with some of our servo products or, maybe step up to some of our CNC controlled products that are, in the portfolio as well. So I'd like to get your thoughts on one more thing, Shawn. Just, why engineers specify or use VFDs. And I break it down to two main reasons. Why would I use a VFD to start a motor versus across the line? And my two main reasons, I'd be interested in your feedback on this. One, first is energy savings on pumps, fan, compressors applications. I mean, pretty well established. If I don't have to run that motor at 100% speed, on those hottest days, yes, my air conditioning has to run at full speed. But what about those days where it's just 80 degrees and I can back that speed down a little bit? You can save a tremendous amount of energy. So energy savings is one reason people use VFDs. Second reason is just process control. In other words, I need to control either speed of this conveyor or position, maybe with a servo drive velocity or positioning. But so I call that process control, Shawn. So between those two reasons, can you think of any other reasons why somebody would use a VFD? Or to me, that covers it pretty well. Any other thoughts there?
Yeah, when I got started in '90, everything was about energy savings, and
Sure.
VFDs can save you just a ton of energy. I mean, it is amazing. And if you have an application, if you want to save electricity and you haven't looked at this, it has always been over versus across the line. There's also some specialty applications too, like water knocking inside of pipes, pipe knocking.
Mm,
If you just if you
sure.
increase or decrease the pressure too much. Um, and I like your processor control. I think most applications, except for the big fans and motors and pumps, most of the applications are process control that I've seen. We need to stop the drive. We need to, sometimes it has, it goes forward and then needs to go to reverse and it needs to go forward
Sure.
in one speed, reverse in another. So that all comes in the process control. There's also, a lot of safety now where
Mm,
they need the drive to have the safety capabilities just because the application demands it. And then we have like inertial braking, dynamic brakes. We have
ah,
shared buses. So I
yeah.
mean, it's just like there's so much in this field that you can do just in the VFD field with drives. And we start talking about common buses, or we start talking about braking, and a lot of times braking for safety, right?
Sure.
If somebody's hand gets stuck, we need to stop those pinches fast, or we need to stop the momentum fast. And in other cases, we open up the pinches, of course. But
Yep.
there's just so many cool, and interesting applications in just VFDs alone. How did I do?
No, those are all great add-ins, man. Um, yeah, as you said, there's a ton of data in the drive that can
Oh
be
yeah,
collected and leveraged because okay,
condition
it's basically
monitoring.
like a little PLC sitting
Yeah,
on top of the VFD. So I don't know. That's one thing that also makes VFDs and servo drives kind of unique is okay, you got the power side and you got what's going on with incoming power and outgoing power, and as you just mentioned, regen power, but you also
exactly.
got the PLC and the networking side of it. So you kind of got to be a jack of all trades to work well with these products, in my mind. So, all right, how about we get the conversation dialed into the topic of the day, really, which is the Cinemix G220 VFD. So you can see the picture on the slide there if you're viewing this online. Again, just getting launched to the marketplace. Matter of fact, let's go to the next slide here and we'll take a look at some of the hardware that's released. Yeah, first thing you'll notice is that the Cinemix G220 series offers some different protection degrees and expandable functionality. So up at the top of the slide, I'm calling that out as IP20. Pretty standard industry term for a drive that's going to be mounted inside another cabinet. And then you can also see on the slide the Type 12 product, which is not necessarily new to the market, but new to Siemens. So this is a new offer in our portfolio, having a Type 12 product. And some good applications of that, Shawn, I think are, okay, maybe where someone was using a cross the line starter, maybe on a ventilating fan out on a factory or something like that, and I want to use a VFD today. Okay, I can mount this product out on the wall, I'll say, and don't need its own control cabinet. Another good example or good application of this product is an OEM that has a large control cabinet today with a lot of drives inside, and he wants to, maybe his machine is getting smaller, so he wants, or he just wants to reduce that enclosure size. Big enclosures get very expensive, so I can reduce that cabinet size and mount the drive outside, perhaps on my machine somewhere. So this product is also suitable for that. So that's kind of two places where that Type 12 product certainly comes into play.
I just want to, I see it's listed Type 12 IP55, and, I just want to just review Type 12 for any of the audience who was, you know, I'm always thinking NEMA 4X or IP69K or, so Type 12,
Right.
protection against dust, falling dirt, fibers, and lint, protection from dripping water and other non-corrosive liquids, and resistant to damage from external condensation, doors with oiled resistant gases. So gaskets. So that kind of gives you an idea. It's not submersible, of course. It's
Right.
not
Yep.
wash down proof. But like
Right.
the application you just said, this could sit on the wall. It does not have to be in an enclosure.
And I mean, Type 12 environment, that's I would say, a very typical environment
Yeah.
inside of an industrial facility.
Yep.
Could be dusty, maybe a little oil spray in the air, something like
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
that Type 12 is resistant to. But yeah, as soon as you start talking, the next level would be like a 4, okay, that's like hose directed
Yeah.
water. You
Not
gotta,
high pressure, but just regular hose. Yes.
right. Yeah. So, but yeah, a new offer, and I'm expecting this to do well for us.
Okay.
We kind of see the horsepower range there today, on both of the IP20, the IP55, both released and available, and actually in our stock, up to 40 horsepower at 240 volt and 75 horsepower at 480 volts.
Okay, great. All the way down to
Um,
half a horse on, or I should say three quarters of a horse on the uh, 240, and then all the way down to 1.5 on the 480.
that's correct. And then I'll call out, that IP20 product eventually. As I said, we're at the very beginning here. Eventually, we'll get that up close to 1,000 horsepower.
Sure.
Is what's on the roadmap for the IP20 product. The Type 12 product will eventually have product up to around 150 horsepower, in that family range there.
Now let me ask you this: you have like A, B, C, D. What do you call those? I don't. I know in other lines they have a word for that, but are you calling those
Yeah,
sizes or frames
yeah,
or?
it's our frame sizes.
Okay.
It's very internal speak.
Okay.
But it just gives people a reference as to, frame breaks, and frame breaks, where the frame breaks are.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be helpful for, spare parts,
Size
installation, things like
enclosures.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you know
exactly.
which range of horsepower is like a frame C, then well I
Sure.
can fit this one, and this one in this spot. So I didn't know if you guys had a size A or frame A. I'm used to the frame size, but
Yeah,
that's interesting. I see you also have some options and upgrades on here too.
yeah. Let's talk about those. The first thing I'll talk about, kind of in the center of the screen, is the integrated operator panel.
Hmm.
That is like a 9-key keypad. You can also see the RJ45 connector there, and then it also has a, color display on it. So that is integrated into the product, built in. Don't have to order it or add it. Comes in every product. And that port on the front there is to plug in the smart adapter, which is also shown there. And by doing that, I can then access the web server, which is another thing I wanted to talk about on the product, is its integrated web server. And we've got a couple of more slides about that in the slide deck here. But you basically can plug in that little smart adapter into the port shown on that integrated operator panel, and yeah, access the web server with tools that people are carrying around in their pocket, be it phones, tablets, a laptop if you wanted to. But yeah, accessible by Wi-Fi, which is a nifty little tool for a variety of reasons. You can also see the larger operator panel there, the Synamics Smart Device Interface Pro. That is a color touchscreen. It's intended to be an option for somebody that wants a operator interface on the outside of a cabinet door. You can connect multiple drives to that device up
Nice.
to somewhere around 20 or something like that. If
Wow.
that's, but yeah, and what's nifty about it is, okay, it's color touchscreen, and it's really all you're doing is accessing the web server that's built into the product there. So nice little add-on option there. We look at the software options, and I wanted to say a word about that. I mean, there's some basic safety functions built in. You alluded to that somebody might want to specify a drive because of some of the safety functions that are in. So, as standard, there's a handful of safety standard or safety features that are built in, such as safe torque off, which is pretty common. But then also, like, there's a timed safe stop. And then you can see on the screen there, the safe motor temperature module, which is applicable to motors used in like ATEX environments. So good applications there in oil and gas, maybe, or chemical plants, where I have a motor in an ATEX environment. That device is ATEX rated. But I'll also come back to the safety software option there. If you do need more safety, if you're looking for more safety inputs, there's safe limited speed, safe direction, safe motor monitoring, and those are available as an option. And kind of the nice thing about that is, okay, for a user that doesn't need that, he doesn't have to pay for it, but it's available for somebody if they want to use that at a very reasonable licensing cost. And then same with that motor control extended. That's specifically for synchronous reluctance motors. More and more synchronous reluctance motors come to the market because of the energy efficiency they can offer, Shawn. So that is a license. Again, it's administered by license, so it is an option to provide that extended control. Again, if you don't need it, you're not paying for it. But if you do, it's a very reasonable licensing. So sliding over to the way right side, you can see the communication modules. Something that's good there is one module, software selectable between Profinet, Modbus TCP, IP, or Ethernet IP. Again, all three networks supported on that card. It is a dual port card, I'll say as well, but software selectable between those big three communication networks. And then you'll see their option module for drive click. That's the way you would connect an encoder to the G220. I mentioned the safe motor temperature module there already. And then the last one I'll mention is the IIoT module, which is how you would get data, that fits in the drive, collects data, with like 16 different parameters. And again, that's the way you're going to get data quickly to a user's environment or the cloud to analyze and do something with that data. So
Now, is there only
so
one communication slot, and you have to choose one of these if you want one of these?
now, so that let me reiterate that there is one communication slot, but that card you're looking at there, I can software select between those three networks.
No, I understood that, but
Yeah,
so let me ask you this question. We got four
sure.
cards here. Is there only one slot in the drive? Like, I'm only going to pick one of these. Like, I'm not going to pick Profinet and IoT, right?
You could, if there's reasons, and matter of fact, I think I've got to slide that later, but let me get back to your question. The communication slot, there's one communication slot,
Okay.
but then there's another slot. The communication slot is, I'll just say, up on top.
Okay.
And I think I got a picture of that later on. But these other option modules fit, I'll say, under the cover of the product. I think I got a picture of how those fit in there later on too. So we'll get to that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's kind of what I had on that slide. Again, just kind of reiterating, that this is a new hardware stack with, updated processors or the next generation product, I should say, is, built on a new hardware stack that includes updated processors and power components. The portfolio's qualified to the newer standards. For instance, the latest UL standard for testing drives is UL 61800-5-1. Obsoletes the old UL standard that was out there. So and all those safety standards, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but just my point is new hardware stack qualified to the newest standards, and also then the product with what's included, what do I mean by next generation? It also includes this updated software stack to handle things like that integrated web server, and we're going to see here cybersecurity and integrated safety functions, motor control functions, things like that, and all integrated as you called out earlier about integrating this all in with one software tool. Again, that all filters into our TIA portal. All right, so kind of three pillars that I mentioned earlier, with regards to the Synamics G220 was that efficient, secure, and future-proof. So let's just kind of step through each one of those and what do I really mean by that? Efficient, we mean efficient with regards to selection of the product, commissioning times. In other words, helping engineers work quicker is the message I'm trying to convey, and be more productive. And then also we talked a little bit about this already, the energy consumption. So those are kind of some things that fit under that efficient theme. What do we mean by secure? So first and foremost, cybersecurity. There's a lot of talk about cybersecurity. A lot of unfriendly people out there trying to, with hacks and things like that. So again, with a new hardware stack, with a new software stack, an extra things that have been done with regards to industrial cybersecurity, providing, really, what are you trying to do with cybersecurity? You want to keep your system available, right? In other words, and not be shut down by somebody. So that's what I mean by availability there. Integrity, you want your data to be assured that it's good data going back and forth on your networks to the proper places, and that it's done confidentiality, done confidently rather. And then secure with regards to some of the functional safety. So providing personal safety and equipment interlocks. And then also, again, with kind of the high performance theme, secure with regards to redundancy capabilities. In other words, maybe if a controller goes down, I want to have a redundant system that can pick up my motor without a hitch to keep my plant running. And then lastly, under the secure, kind of again, keeping the product available, meaning, hey, it can operate in some harsh environments. So there's some coatings that you can specify on the product that will improve its ruggedness against certain gases and things like that if you have those present in your system. The last bullet that I'd like to put up on this screen is future-proof. In other words, what we're saying here is, hey, this product is designed and manufactured with an eye or viewpoint of the future. In the past, I think it took a lot of effort to get machines and systems started up with really little attention of what the system was going to look like in a couple of years. But I think, the big players, big users, big manufacturers, machine builders, today they recognize, hey, we got to be always looking down the road. What is this going to lead to? So I think the bar's been raised there. So what's being conveyed here when you talk about future-proof? So what I mean by future-proof is with regards to the ability to provide a digital twin of your machine. There's value in that. By using a digital twin model, I can not only model something before I have actual hardware, but I can maybe find pinch points and iterate to a best engineered solution. And then future-proof with regards to, edge and cloud connectivity to monitor and diagnose and maybe even feed data back into my digital model so that I can further optimize my overall machine performance. And then lastly, a design that promotes, a sustainable footprint. Of course, more attention being given to ideas and solutions that reduce our footprint and designs that embrace sustainable practices. So, yeah, Synamics G220 champions that, as demonstrated in its environmental product declaration, which is a document that is available. So, yeah, those three themes really, Shawn, provide some insight into what the Synamics G220 offer is about and the values that customers can expect. We can go into each one of those in a little more detail on the next couple of slides here, and maybe even get to some of those pictures or some of those things that you were asking me about. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so let's talk about efficient. We talked about some of the tools that are available here. I won't go through all of these, but yeah, just to say there's a number of selection tools available. If somebody's kind of familiar with the Siemens portfolio of products, a lot of these will look familiar with the Siemens product configurator to configure a product. The TIA selection tool. There's a Synamics selector, which is an app, a mobile phone app, which can be useful just to quickly find a part number. I've spoke a little bit about the integrated web server, and yeah, I've also spoke a little bit about the digital twin offer there. So those are just some things that are highlighted on that page. I'd like to highlight here just some tools where you can access. I spoke of that integrated web server, and can you see on the slide there, Shawn, where that little smart adapter plugs into that port?
Yeah, and I was wondering on the NEMA 12, it doesn't look like it would fit under the cover, so you'd have to open up the door to plug it in. But here, of course, on the NEMA, the IP20, the
Sure.
ports are going to be available. So, but that's a great way if you just like. I'm assuming you would stick that in your tool bag or in your PG bag and your laptop bag, and then when you need to, you would plug it in. Or does Siemens sell that as more of a hey, you plug it in and leave it in full time?
No, I think as you just said there, it's meant as a tool for maybe a maintenance guy or somebody that needs to query certain things at certain times. That would carry it in their tool bag along with, like a mobile phone that's pictured there or something like that. I think that's a good use for
Yeah, and I don't think I'd
it.
want it left in all the time because anybody with any phone could probably access it. And I know they make these little. We use them here at the office. They make these little locking things that you put in those RJ45s, so
Hmm.
that unless you have a special little tool, you can't plug anything in, which is always a good idea. And the tool, I mean, they're so inexpensive. But in any case, let me turn it back to you.
Sure. Yeah, no, that another good use of that smart adapter is, if I've got a drive in a cabinet, I can power that down, install this smart adapter, now close the doors and power things back up without, being in all of my protective gear because I've got my enclosure doors shut now, and now I can access that product, while it's fully protected and I'm not in my all my gear. So that's kind of another neat little way to use that product. Yeah, so here's Shawn is again showing that communication module. Again, this is the Profinet one, and I'll highlight that. Okay, it's Profinet Ethernet IP or Modbus TCP software selectable, but it fits down, going to slide in kind of the top of the product there as what we're trying to show there. So that's where that fits into the product. So, all right, so those are some of the things I was trying to convey about, efficient, in other words, tools and connectivity and things like that. The next topic I wanted to talk about is in a little more detail was that, what do we mean by secure and safety? So secure with regards to cybersecurity, what's implemented in the Synamics line, and this is really across more Siemens products, is this defense in depth, which what that means is, there's various levels of security, and you can see kind of the little circle there on the most outer side is, okay, just simple plant security and who can get into the plant. And then there's network security, who can access the network. And then there's, more system integrity, talking about a particular system on my maybe plant floor or machine on my plant floor. So it's, that's, if you kind of think of it as an onion, if you will, with different layers of security is what what we're trying to convey by this defense in depth. But yeah, and then there's secure access. It's called user management and access control, where I can set up different levels of access to different people. In other words, the people on uh, that are need to be able to change a parameter or something have one level of access versus an operator that's doesn't need that sort of access. So part of what we're conveying with that user management and access control, or UMAC, is the ability to do that. I'll move to the next little topic under secure, and that's of course safety. And this gives you a little bit of a picture of how one of those modules fits in there. It's cut off, but there you can see one of the modules now installed in that drive, and that is that pointing to that ATEX module. But a couple of other things on the safety side, the functional safety that provides SIL level 3, in other words, safety integrity level 3 and category 4 of PLE. And really these kinds of levels of safety can often eliminate additional hardware like safety relays or so, and the panel space and wiring that's associated with all those. So yeah, that's now coming in the drive, and we alluded to some of that earlier as to why somebody might want to buy a drive or use a drive. I want to call out one thing on this slide, Shawn. It's right up at the top there. It says a test stop is no longer required. I'm not sure if it's very well known, but for a PLE performance level E category 3 or 4, you're supposed to be testing that hardware once a month to maintain that certification. And I'm sure in rigorous environments that's done every month. But what that bullet is trying to convey there is that is done in the drive automatically. So that's a real time saver too, for instead of somebody actually having to go and test these circuits monthly to maintain that level of safety category, that is done internal in the drive. So again, kind of a neat little thing there that I'd like to point out. And then I think my last slide under kind of the security portion of it is, we talked a little bit about redundancy, and again, what the graphic is trying to show us there is, that dual port communication module in a ring topology that I can now offer additional levels of redundancy, particularly the MRP, Media Redundancy Protocol, and the S2 system redundancy is attainable with this product. And what the example we're showing here is, okay, if a controller goes down, and I'm on this ring topology, it'll pick up and not miss a beat. So the product, the drive, the G220 supports that. So that was my last comment about kind of the safety and secure side of it. I'd like to move on now to just what did we again mean by future-proof and digital. There, Shawn, you can see another picture of option module slid into the G220 there. But yeah, we've talked a little bit about this already, but future-proof with regards to the ability to generate a digital twin of your machine. And again, if I do that, an engineer can find the pinch points or find the places, the failure points, and then quickly iterate to a better engineered machine prior to even really purchasing any hardware. And that's done with Drive Sim Engineer. The commission, or the way you configure the drive there, is directly transportable into TIA, or it's done in TIA portal. So you can use that same configuration when you go to configure your product out on the factory floor. So you've configured it once, you've configured it virtually, but I can download that configuration to the actual product. So those are some of the things, with regards to that digital twin. With regards to, yeah, future proof, being able to collect data, here we're showing that option module, installed in the drive, and again, feeding data up to either a user environment or perhaps a cloud environment to monitor and diagnose and act on that data. And then, yep, getting to the last part of that future proof was just talking about the sustainability of the product. Things like taking a look at the packaging and minimally using even ink and things like that, and to the repairability and ease of disassembly, so that when it comes time to disassemble the product, it can be easily done, and the right, metal goes this way, plastic goes that way, things like that. So a lot of these things are in this environmental product declaration, which is available there, Shawn. So yeah, Shawn, that's kind of a summary of what I had for the G220. Any questions come to mind? Of course, we could talk for a lot longer, but
No, I appreciate that overview. I'd really like to at some point maybe learn more about the simulation,
sure.
the drive simulation for the digital twin. But it's good that, I think you did a good job going through all the different pieces and parts that anybody would like to know about. The option models, the, environmentals, the horsepower ranges, the voltage ranges. I mean, we pretty much covered everything you need to know to pick out a drive for an application.
Sure. Or at least, and there was a slide there that had some links on it. We could, I'm not quite sure how you handle that, but we can make those available as well. One last thing I'd like to just maybe acknowledge here, and maybe kind of set up a future call with you, Shawn, is this is kind of a summary slide that I'm showing here of why Synamics G220, and one of the things you notice on there is the clean power product. And so we've just released the clean power version of the Synamics G220. So at some point in the future, maybe I'd like to reappear. If I could get invited back, we could go in depth, spend 20-30 minutes talking about that product.
Yeah, I think that would be great because a lot of people live in places where that's becoming more and more important. And
Sure.
so we've been following that on the morning show. And so, yeah, I'd love to have you come back and talk about that. Love to have you come back and talk about simulating drives, digital twins of drives. And just really, Ivan, want to thank you for coming on the show and, just for giving us that overview of the product. It looks like a great product.
I hope I've conveyed some detail around those pillars of digitization, efficiency, security, product lines that are designed and constructed to be future proof. And yeah, hopefully these are things that the audience can use in their work and their own digital journey, and maybe some reasons to consider the Synamics G220 drive.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. I want to thank Ivan for coming on the show and bringing us up to speed on Siemens' latest, most advanced VFD. Now, if you want to know more about this product, please check the links in the description. This episode, as you may have known, there was no commercials because our vendor sponsored it. Thank you, Siemens. Please, if you have a favorite vendor, you'd like to see him on the show, please reach out to him and ask them to get in touch with me. We'd love to have them on the show, and we doubly love it when they sponsor it to cover our costs of producing this episode. Now, with that said, if you did enjoy this episode, please give us a like, a sub, a share, and give us a 5-star review if you're listening to the audio edition. I really appreciate all you guys that did. 10 or 20 of you guys out there already done so. Thank you so much. It really helps us find a greater audience, grow our audience, and find new vendors to come on the show. I also want to mention that if you want to become a member and support my work, you can do so for as little as $10 a month over at theautomationblog.com or on YouTube. With that, I want to wish you an awesome week. I want to wish you good health and happiness. And until next time, my friends, peace.